Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV, the Eau de Vie edition. Today is December 1st, 2021, and we're about to crack into this Costco 2021 Wine Advent-ure box. Over the next 24 days, I will post a video about each one of these little tiny bottles of wine. We're going to review them, score them, think about them, and drink them. That's it. There's a few things you're going to need to get started. Obviously, the box. But if you don't have the box, you can still watch this. It can be entertaining. An ice bucket, a corkscrew, a pen, a glass, and tasting chart. Link is in the description to download the chart from my website. All right, let's get started. Now, I have never tasted these wines. I've never looked at the wines. I haven't done anything. I bought the box and I waited for today to open it. So we're going to open it together for the first time. I love advent calendars. When I was a kid, I had a couple of them. You'd open them up every day and you'd get a little candy or something out of it. I thought, what a great way to celebrate the new year. Well, Christmas season. Okay, wine number one. Let's see if we can tear this open. I mean, this is fun. Okay, let's see what the bottle is. So, what do we have here? We have Strut King Chardonnay from Italy. I don't know anything about this. I've never heard of this brand before. Let's just look at the label and see if we can define something out of it. It's Italian Chardonnay, so that means it's not going to be rated under the national appellation system from Italy. In the back, it says it's from sunny Italian skies, so anywhere in Italy. A heady nose of orchard fruit and rich, creamy palate. Unique character of Italian Chardonnay. Well, the Italians are not known for their Chardonnay. Lots of whites in Italy. Why do they choose an Italian Chardonnay? I don't know. Well, that's what we've got. Let's get this out of the way and taste this. Now, before we open this wine and give it a score and rate it, we need to make sure it's properly prepared for drinking. The most important thing to keep in mind with regard to how to prepare a wine for drinking is to serve it at the right temperature. What is the right temperature for all wines, reds and whites? The easiest right number is 55 degrees. So I've got a temperature probe here, a link in the description if you want to get one. And I checked the temperature, and this wine is 56.9 degrees. So that's pretty close. I would probably go ahead and drink that. But if your wine is warmer than that, if it doesn't actually feel cool to the touch, not cold, but cool, then you need to chill your wine. This is paramountly important for white wines, but it's also important for red wines. And for white wines, it's important because white wines contain a lot of beautiful fruit and floral aromas that make up the quality of the wine. If you can't smell all these things, you can't actually taste all of those. Remember, 80% of tasting is smelling. And so if your wine is too cold, you left it in the refrigerator, it will be numb. It'll be 35 degrees or 40 degrees, and your wine will be completely absent, or it will have very little aroma. We use aroma to determine the quality of the wine. So you don't want to serve it too cold. You don't want to serve it too hot, because then all those aromas will be overtaken by the alcohol that is evaporating quickly in the glass. And white wine, nobody likes hot white wine. Nobody likes hot red wine either. So what's the quickest way to do this? Well, you could leave it in the refrigerator for a couple hours. You could put it in the freezer and constantly feel it. You'd probably still need about half an hour or so in the freezer. Or you can get yourself an ice bucket. I know what you're saying. I don't have an ice bucket. Well, get yourself an ice bucket. It's not that complicated. You can even get a plastic ice bucket. There's a link in the description to those. They're very simple. Bucket, ice, and water. 7 minutes. Let me show you how to do it. My refrigerator makes ice for me. God, I love that. In fact, I use the ice all the time. And really, if you've got an automatic ice maker, you need an ice bucket because this stuff on the top, it starts to kind of go off. And then you don't want to drink that. That's gross. You want fresh ice to drink. So the ice bucket's perfect. Caution, this is going to get loud. Put it all in there. Now, the ice bucket is about halfway full of ice. Okay, so now I'm going to fill it halfway full of water. Okay, so I filled the ice bucket up to the point where the ice is floating. Now these tiny bottles probably aren't going to take very long. Normally, a bottle of wine, I would say 7 minutes. But of course, your 7 minutes and my 7 minutes are different. It's December 1st. I live in northern Minnesota. If you live in Arizona, it's going to be hotter there. If you kept your wine on top of your refrigerator or in your kitchen, it's definitely going to be warmer in there. So 7 minutes is an average. You're going to have to check back with your wine. Can you screw this up? Not really. You can always warm a wine, and that's where the wine glass comes in. But in general, I'm going to leave this for 7 minutes, and then we will test the temperature again. Okay, see you in 7. Okay, I actually don't know how many minutes it's been. Sarah came down, made breakfast. Yes, I'm filming this in the morning. And she used the microwave for at least 1 minute. So I know it's at least been 1 minute, probably more like 4 or 5 minutes. But let's take it out of here. Get yourself a towel, dry off the bottle. And now I started at 57 degrees. Let's see what I'm at now. 41. Ooh, a little cold. Just like I said not to drink it at. Okay, so we'll warm it up. But you get the idea. These little bottles, if you start early, if you start with a colder temperature, are not going to need a lot of time. So we're done with the ice bucket. Let's move on to actually opening this. Now, I know it's 41 degrees and it needs to warm up, but that's okay. It can do that once it's opened. Some people, there's an old myth, think that you open a wine to let it breathe. And really, you don't need to do that with white wine. And if you're opening a wine to let it breathe, you're going to need to put it into a different container. This little dime-sized hole is going to allow absolutely no appreciable amount of oxygen into the wine. So letting that breathe is doing nothing. Okay, well, I guess I need to wait for my wine to warm up a bit. Or, I know, I'll warm it up with my thermocoupling device. Well, thermodynamic device. Okay, so Strut King, Chardonnay, Italy. I'm going to put, about that much in my glass, which I suppose is about 1/3 of the bottle. You've got 2 normal servings in here, so 1/3 of the bottle. Okay, now, I said it was too cold. I'm going to wander around and talk to Sarah while she eats breakfast and hold this in my hand. Okay, so I've been wandering around for a few minutes, and my hand is actually pretty cold. So I think the wine has warmed up, or at least my hand is chilled down. So let's use the temperature probe again and shoot it through the glass and see what we get. 53.3. So 2 more degrees and I'd probably be there, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and start grading this wine. Now, I did watch the little video. You can see the link here from the producer of the wine Advent box, and they said that this was a unoaked Chardonnay. There are 2 ways to produce Chardonnay generally. One is age it in stainless steel, meaning it will preserve all of those aromas of lemons and limes and green apple, and it'll be higher acid. Or you can age it in oak. That's a Burgundian style of Chardonnay. And there you get Chardonnay that is more creamy and has gone through a malolactic fermentation where the malic acid, which is the acid you find in the flavor of green apple, turns to lactic acid, which is the acid that you have in milk. And so you get this creamy mouthfeel from that Chardonnay. You also get aromas and flavors of butterscotch, and you can smell the coconut aroma that comes from the oak. This is not an oak Chardonnay. It's a stainless Chardonnay, which would be similar to the French style that they make in Northern Burgundy in Chablis. So let's smell this and see what we get and give it a score. It doesn't smell bad. It smells pretty good. I definitely get lemons. It's a little sharp on the nose. Lemons and maybe the hint of something else. Maybe. It's not overly expressive. Okay, I'm going to start scoring this wine now. If you don't want to see what my scores are, stop the video and then score it yourself and come back. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to work through the tasting chart. Looking at the color, I'm going to say that is yellow. The depth, I think, would be medium. Here's the wine for yourself to grade. That's what I call medium, certainly for a Chardonnay, and it's yellow. And now for the aroma. I got lemon, I got peach, and so I'm going to give it a 6. Now we will taste it. Smell it one more time. It's continuing to warm up in the glass and change. I could have given it a 7. Anyway, I'm not going back. Let's taste this. Dry or sweet? Dry. Its body, I would give it a light body. Acidity. Now I can actually feel it dancing on my tongue. It's what I would call a fresh acidity here. It's not smooth. That would be the next level. Flabby, by the way, is an absence of acidity. That you don't want flabby. And you don't actually always want tart either. Tart can be a bad thing to have in some wines. So this, I'm going to go with fresh. I think it's actually got pretty nice acidity. So looking down at my chart, I'm going to go 7 for acidity. You can grade however you want. If you're an easy grader, give a good score. If you're a hard grader, give a bad score. But just be consistent in your grading. Balance. This is the balance between the alcohol, the acid, the tannins, and the sugars. You know, frankly, I don't even notice the alcohol. It's at 12%. I'm not supposed to notice it. So that's in balance. There's no tannins. I don't have to think about those. The sugars, it's got a little bit of sweetness, especially in the finish, which actually is kind of nice. So that's good. I'm going to give it an 8 for balance. I think it's better balanced than it is in acidity. Now, complexity. This is really where your preference comes in. I'm going to go ahead and taste this again. It's getting more lemony. Yeah, this would go nice with like a lemon chicken pasta or something. This is extremely approachable wine. There's nothing super fancy or, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 7 for complexity. And the finish and length, it has a good finish. It's got a nice finish. Actually, it is a nice finish. I'm going 8. Okay, now I'm going to do my math. Okay, so I've done my math. I've got 36 plus 50 gives me 86. Now, what does 86 mean? Well, 50 to 59 is unacceptable. You've got something really wrong with that wine. 60 to 69 is below average, so that's not so good. 70 to 79 is average. 80 to 89 is above average. 90 to 95 is outstanding, and 95 to 100 is extraordinary. So here for Strut King, our day number 1 wine, the Italian Chardonnay grown from vineyards anywhere in Italy. So we're actually talking about a bulk wine here. 86 points. That's actually pretty good. This would go great with Eggs Benedict at a Sunday brunch. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'm hungry. I wish I had some Eggs Benedict so I could finish the rest of this with my breakfast. Anyway, that's it. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing. Share what your number is in the comments below. What did you score it? Did you give it 86? Did it get more? Did it get less? How did you like this wine? Thank you for joining me for day 1. I'll see you tomorrow for day 2, where we open a new bottle of wine. And until then, I say à tout à l'heure and cheers.
Definitely sour, but fresh and fruity. Maybe lemons, but maybe a little grapefruit, which is weird because that should be Sauvignon Blanc. Tart, but ooh, tart.